What is up, guys? This is the first episode of the Bro Science podcast. I'm by myself today, but I think it'll be okay. I don't have my friend Eric with his actual cameras, so we're just going to use the crappy computer camera. So you're just going to have to deal with that. But I'm doing a lot today. I think that we can go through a bunch of topics. I'm hoping that you'll enjoy it, but we'll see where it goes. But the first thing I wanted to talk about today was electric trucks. So, one of my biggest problems with the whole electric truck thing is that it's fine to make them. The Cybertruck is great. But you can't just call an F-150 an electric car. No. That's been a standard for gas or diesel-powered cars forever. You can't just call it an F-150E or whatever they want to call it. That's dumb. Come up with a different name. Same kind of thing for a lot of different cars. But a pickup truck should always be an engine. It should not be electric. Cybertruck's one thing because Tesla, that's all they do. Fine, whatever. Even though the one that they showed, the glass broke, even though they said it couldn't. It was a dead blow hammer when they were trying to say it was a sledgehammer. It's a bunch of crap. But that's for a different day. And but in other car news, sorry about that little rant. I saw that and I was just irritated. But in other car news, the new ZL1 Corvette or ZL1 Camaro is not going to be able to be sold in California or in Washington State. And that is because supposedly the brake pads have too much copper in them. It's like, though they do say in New York, because of all the brake tests and all, if you just open your car window, it's so bad for you. Which I understand, because a lot of people, there's a lot of brake tests. Fine. But GM is actually changing this model. It's only 2021. Only 2021. 2022, they're going to be fine. They'll change the brake pads. But not this coming year. It's like, oh my gosh. Why? GM, why? I love you. And you're not doing what you should be doing. Do better. And why aren't you putting the LT5 in the Camaro? That they should be taking the ZL1, 1LE, and then stuffing an LT5 in there, and then call it a Z06. That's what they should be doing. That should be a track monster, and then kicking the crap out of the GT500. But who knows what they're going to be doing with that. But California and Washington too, especially California though, they are just ridiculous with laws. Like most cars, you are not allowed turbo, aftermarket. That is so dumb, so dumb. And California's known to have some of the biggest car culture in the country, and they don't let people do what they want with their cars. It's really stupid. You can't even have even headers in a lot of areas for a lot of cars. Even headers, for what you don't know, basically works in such a way that you have the header is the exhaust manifold. So it will come up, and you want even headers because you think of exhaust as a flow, right? But exhaust is really a bunch of pulses. And those pulses will have a small vacuum behind it. And that vacuum will pull along the gases. And that can give it a supercharging effect or allow it to pull in more air, more fuel, which allows it to build more power. And my dad's old Camaro, he had even headers on it. And if we moved to California for whatever reason, which, God, I hope not, he would have had to take off those headers to make it compliant for that state. Some of the ways people get around that in that state is they if they're close enough to other states, they'll insure it. They'll get it registered as another state. But that's kind of shady to do. But it's just California just goes nuts with things like this. It really irritates me. Like, this is progressive paradise they think it is. It's just a bunch of crap. My gosh, I can't believe it's the 14th day, the 14th of December. I mean, it's now been a day longer than the Al Gore case ever took, which is kind of crazy to think about. But there's still more evidence coming out for Trump, but we'll see what's happening. This Dominion's photo software is terrible. So, but good old Texas. Good old Texas. They're always doing what they should be doing when it comes to they're always trying to get rid of what shouldn't be. I just wish that people would just be honest about, because so many people are not being honest about what is going on. Like, a lot of the mainstream media is like, oh, all these people, they're all these allegations were rejected from Trump's case. Well, no, Trump didn't actually do those ones. Most of the Trump stuff is still going through the process, so it's a little bit different of a thing. And then no one wants to talk about that all these states are signing up with Texas to help fight against this, because they feel like, because the election wasn't honest, the red states are not getting their fair shake, which makes perfect sense. And Ben Shapiro had a bit of a different idea than I thought was fair, because they're basically trying to. He was basically saying, and I love Ben Shapiro, but he was saying that this is not right because this is overrides federalism. Well, no, there was a problem with their voting laws, which affects the entire country. It's not just a state issue. There's a lot of things that are supposed to be state issues are not state issues. Guns, not a state issue. Freedom of speech, not a state issue. That is a federal government purview. It's in the federal government purview. But people just don't like to talk about it. And it really irritates me to no end. But another thing that people are trying to say, oh, well, Biden's going to give a national mandate. That is, if he gets in. Well, that's not the federal government's purview, because things like that should be dealt with on a state-by-state or even a local level basis, because there's so many different areas that it's not fair, because population density is different. The people's attitudes towards masks are different. In areas that are warmer or brighter outside, where, because coronavirus dies very fast under sunlight, and we should be able to do it. Do what we want about it. And that is not within the federal government's purview. Within the federal government's purview is highlighted in the Constitution and within the Bill of Rights. Anything in the Bill of Rights is protected. You cannot take away from the Bill of Rights through state law. That's why guns and freedom of speech are so important. Sorry, bit of a rant there. We'll move to a lighter topic. How about Mazda? I don't know what you guys think about Mazdas, but I love them. I think Mazda is a really cool company because they often will take their cars. They're just basically economy cars, but they'll make them fun to drive, which I think is cool because it means, hey, that if you're a father or of kids with kids and all, and you want to please. if you're a father with kids and you have to drive them around, but you still want something fun, Mazdas are a great way to get around that because they are fun. Like my mom is getting a new CX-5, right? And she drove a Beamer 4 Series 4-door though, and she said it was great to drive, and she thought she wanted an X3 now, but she decided, even though she could afford it, she didn't want to have to pay that much, especially for that long. And the Beamer was almost $20,000 more, and the Mazda dealership gave us a really good deal. And she drove it, the Mazda, and she said it drove really nice in comparison to the Beamer, which is a lot more money, and you would expect out of a Beamer, and it wasn't that much better. And my dad said that it was even actually a slightly more comfortable ride, which I think is pretty interesting because normally that doesn't go hand in hand like that. But I just love what Mazda does. They really put an effort into making things good. They make the car's styling good. I don't know how necessarily that is good for visibility, but they consistently make the cars pretty good looking, like very strong, good, like muscular type features. And I appreciate that because, I mean, when it's in my rear view mirror, I like to see something that looks good, not a Chrysler. But I am enjoying seeing Mazda take this direction, and I like the whole Skyactiv engine where they're trying to make engines as efficient as possible in order to get the most power out of a given liter, which I think is pretty cool because efficiency means more power, and efficiency typically comes from racing because of, I mean, that's the whole idea of a dual clutch system, that you get a more efficient thing that is faster and then also technically give you better fuel economy too, if done right. Why do people still wear these stupid masks? It's stupid. Why are they wearing these masks? People should be able to go out in public without a mask if they want to. But you get yelled at by people, these busybodies that don't want you to go outside without a mask. You know people are crazy when they're in a car by themselves with the windows all rolled up and they have their mask on, like up. Like I have one of those masks that it's like a big turtleneck. You just pull it up, and I wear that outside in the cold, because it helps keep you warm. I'll even double up on them because I have a few, and it helps keep you really warm. And because I'm a lunatic, I like to go out for a drive with all the windows down, even though it's like 45 degrees outside. And I'll put gloves on, and I'll pull up my mask, and I'll just be driving along and having a fun time because I love the feel of the open air, but I don't want to be freezing. So, yeah, that's a separate mask thing. But I don't understand why people are so concerned about Corona when the deaths are going down, the infection rate, yeah, it's high, but that's because it's not that bad of a disease. It's only bad when you have pre-existing conditions. Like when the average age of people dying from corona is above the average age, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like you're on borrowed time. I know that sounds insensitive, but it's true. Like I get, like if you're exposed to like your grandmother all the time is in their 70s, then yeah, probably you shouldn't go out. But I'm not. But you should have the option to if you want to. But you shouldn't be governmentally compelled to stay in. Like Tom Wolfe is being ridiculous, PA, because he's retarded. He got corona, therefore businesses must shut down. It makes no sense. And it's like my mom got into an accident, therefore I have to pay more insurance. Now, I'm not the one that got into the accident, but therefore I have to do something that has nothing to do with you. It just makes no sense. Because Tom Wolfe I honestly think that he's just an evil, evil jerk. Like, I saw this picture the other day that my mom sent me, and I thought it was hilarious. I'll pull it up real quick. There we go. Look at that. That's hysterical. He is trying to steal Christmas too. Like, you need to socially distance, or you can't have a group of people in a room. Like, that's what a family is. Christmas is one of the most important holidays to all of America ever. It's always been an important thing. But that has shaped our national characteristic. Like, you see Santa everywhere. That's a big deal. And none of this happy holidays crap. Dennis Prager, a Jew who does not celebrate Christmas, says Merry Christmas because that's a national characteristic. Like, no one celebrates Christmas the way we do. There are other countries that have been influenced because of us, but not in the same way as we do. It's just ridiculous. And what a lot of people don't understand is that the economy is tanking. The economy was the best thing ever that we had. The best ever that we had before Corona. And I honestly think, you can call me tinfoil hat, conspiracy theorist, whatever, I don't care. I honestly think that the Democratic governors were purposely shutting down things to tank the economy because they wanted to make Trump look bad. And I think they purposely overreacted, even though they knew it was not as bad as it was. Like when Nancy Pelosi goes out to get a blowout at a salon, for you guys that don't know, a blowout is a way they do your hair at a salon. I actually don't understand what it is, but they take a high-powered blow dryer, right? And that is hurling hot air that is really bad if you're trying to avoid getting a virus. But she goes to a salon, that's okay. And then she tried to say, oh, it was a sting operation. And like, you didn't get set up. You're saying that you're not allowed to go out, but then you go out and then do something that has a good chance, even though you're old. Like, you're ancient. Like, I'm pretty sure the Mayans saw you get off the boat. Like, it's ridiculous. But if I want to go out and not wear a mask in Wawa, I'm the problem. You weren't even wearing it. The Democratic Party is just ridiculous anymore. I don't know how anyone continues to vote for them because you have to agree with everything. Like Tulsi Gabbard, she wasn't okay with abortions up to 9 months. She cut off at 7 months, which arguably is still pretty crazy. Nope, they doxed her. And she was definitely the most reasonable candidate up there. Like, she's a veteran and all. Like, it just makes no sense. But one thing that really irritates me, because I have a huge fear of needles. I just will not get one. I will not be getting this vaccine ever. Ever. I shouldn't have to. But a lot of people say, you have to get one. No, I'm allowed to do what I want. And needles give me severe anxiety. I can deal with pain. I've had root canals done without Novocaine because I couldn't do the needle. Fine, whatever. Call me a pansy, whatever you want. I'm not getting the freaking shot. And I'm not like conspiracy minded. Like, if you can take needles, fine, get a vaccine. I'm sure there are some vaccines that are not good for you necessarily, but they are real, and I don't have a problem with if you want to get them, but don't make me get one. It's not your responsibility to make me do something. Let me live my own life. If I want to risk my own life, I should be allowed to risk my own life. What else is going on? Oh, speaking of things I hate, what about the Jeep pickup truck? I still remember the first day I saw one of these. Oh my gosh. It's funny to think about now. But it's really funny to think about. But I felt physically nauseous. Like, oh my gosh. I was crying, I'm crying laughing right now because I thought it was so funny that I actually started to gag. Like, no joke. Like, I couldn't believe, because it was so ugly. Because it was that, like, baby puke army green. Crap. But I just hate Chrysler. Chrysler includes Jeep, by the way, if you don't know, because they are owned by them. Like, bring this up a little bit bigger. I just hate the look of the Jeep. Like, the normal Jeep is fine, and they're only fine if you're going to take them off road. I get you can do what you want with your own car, but for most people, Jeeps are just a fashion thing. They're just a fashion thing, especially the white girls that get them. Oh my gosh, I want a Jeep. No, no one cares. Is it ever going to go off road? I bet you 99% of the time they're never going off road. But people still want them. It makes no sense. But Jeeps, they just don't look good with a bed on them. They're just disgusting. I'm sorry. If you have one, I'm not sorry actually. What else? Hopefully this will be more interesting when I have more people on. Oh, this is kind of like the electric Ford F-150. The electric Mustang, the Mach-E. It just is so annoying. Like, I'm not a Mustang person. Like, I am a Chevy guy through and through. Like, but it makes me so mad that you take this V8 icon of a car and then you make it an electric car, and it's so ugly. It's a hatchback. It's not a fastback. It's a hatchback. It looks bloated. Let me see if I can pull it up. Like, that is so gross. Like, you have such nice potential. I wouldn't care if Ford made an electric car. I would not care. But you're calling it a Mustang. That's a problem. That is blasphemous. That's a V8 icon and you're spitting on it. Like, I am not a Mustang person. I'm a Camaro. I love the Camaro. My dad had a Camaro. I don't know there. The Camaro is a much better car as far as I'm concerned. But you're taking an icon of a car and then crapping on it over and over with severe diarrhea. That's what it is. You're crapping on that. You should not be allowed to call it that. Whoever named that car a Mustang is going to jail. If I was president, they'd be going to jail. Like, come up with a different name. Call it, I don't know, a Jolt. I don't know. A Jolt. That'd be cool. Jolt of electricity. That could be cool. Implies it's fast. And I get this car can be really fast. I understand that. But it's not a Mustang. That is so bad if you're calling that a Mustang. It just makes me so mad that people just disgrace. Because people say, well, things are moving towards electric cars. I don't care if it's moving towards electric cars. I don't like them. Engine-powered cars are cooler. Because an electric motor, there's very little to do with how you can make it better. Because you could make the engines a lot better. Engines have been consistently getting better over and over and over and over again. And, like, I have no problem with Teslas. Like, I don't like Elon Musk. That's for personal reasons. Even though my friend Eric looks just like him. For those of you who want to start a bit of a scheme, I want to start a rumor that he is the illegitimate child of Elon Musk and that he owes him money. So, if you're on that train and you want to start that, it could be hilarious. But get that trending. Go on 4chan. Start it. But I don't have a problem with Tesla. I actually am kind of excited to see this Cybertruck. I know I said I don't like it, but the Cybertruck, I mean, it's a Tesla, and they made it clear it's not. It doesn't look like a normal pickup truck at all. It's a Cybertruck. Even though it was hilarious, it broke the glass. And it's not going to be as big as they showed because it has to fit in a normal garage. It's going to have to be a little smaller, which is fine. It's still going to be cool either way. But I'm excited to see this Roadster, especially if they have a really fast one, because Elon Musk has talked about putting basically just giant fans on the back to make it go faster, which, I mean, the more power to you. I'm not going to lie to you. But I'm the car I'm most excited about is the Corvette, the C8. My dad has a Grand Sport C7, and and don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic car. I've driven that car a few times. It's one of the coolest cars ever. But at the same time, I do like this new one a little bit more because it's mid-engine, which by default it's cooler. Like I love the my dad's Corvette, and I love driving it, and I hope to drive it more once spring starts back up because it's too cold for the tires now. Annoying, but downsides of living in Pennsylvania, besides living with Wolf as our governor. But I'm excited to see this new Z06 Corvette because it's going to have a smaller engine. They're talking about a 5.5 liter instead of a 6.2. But even though it's a lower displacement, they're talking about getting it to get more power out of it because it's going to rev to like 9,000 RPM, which is above a lot of different cars. I mean, like there's very few Lamborghinis or even Ferraris that rev nearly that high. I mean, you're talking about like RX-8 territory of revving, and it's pretty interesting how it seems like it's going to be a overhead cam instead of a push rod, which is good because that means revving higher, and then it's going to be a flat plane crank, which means revving higher again. But they're talking about this 5.5 liter revving to like 9,000 and making like 625 horsepower, which is really cool. I know that's less than the old Z06, but I think that this will probably be a better way to make power because it's probably going to make in the upper 400s pound foot of torque, but for tracking, that will be better. It may not be as exciting to drive, which is fine. Like that's a perfectly reasonable argument. But I think that as far as track, I think that this car will be faster on the track than the Z06 by a long shot. I mean, because you're not only getting better braking and all because of mid-engine design. Because with a normal front-engine car, because when the car squats when under braking, so it sits down. So most of the braking is done by the front wheels, but with a mid-engine car, because more weight's on the back, it is actually more like a 50-50 split for under braking, and that allows the braking to be that allows it to brake quicker because you're getting more traction with the rear wheels, so that way you can stop significantly harder. And the old Corvette was a really good braking car, but this new one I think is going to be even better, just because it has the weight transfer for it, and then I think they actually put bigger brakes on the back than the front, which is really unheard of for the most part. That's why like a lot of trucks have. Ooh, okay, new microphone. But that's why a lot of trucks, like my dad's pickup truck, is drum brakes in the back because it doesn't do that much work of braking. So they're basically just help to stabilize the car at the rear end. But a lot of cars are like that because they just don't need that rear power braking so much because I heard like 85% of the braking of a car is done by the front wheels. It could be more than that. Depends on the car. Like a pickup truck, I'm sure it's because there's virtually no weight on the rear wheels. In comparison to the front wheels, that I'm sure it's just gonna have to. I don't even know where I was going with that. Anyways, yeah, and let's just not talk about how I just bombed that. Oh, that's what I'm gonna bring up next. I wanted to talk about because one of the things people don't like about this new Corvette is with the chassis you have this big beam in the middle, and it keeps you from being able to get a manual transmission in, which I understand that is not fun. It's not, but they did put a dual clutch transmission in, which is faster. It's better for a track. It's better for 0 to 60 times. It's it's better for fuel economy. It's better in all those respects. And I do like a manual. The next car I get, no matter what, it has to be a manual. I have a stupid Super Loser right now that has a CVT, which I get mad about several times a day because I'm just a very angry person. Not really. And I'm just so tired of that thing. But a manual is better because it's the most engagement of a car you can have. Um, Sorry, I'm getting a bunch of texts. But I think that this car has the potential to be one of the fastest track cars ever. And it's still going to be comfortable because it has that magnetic ride control. And I'm just excited to see what GM is going to be able to do with it. But one talk with that big beam in the middle, though, is what I was trying to get to. Was they're talking about putting I've heard rumors that they're going to put batteries in there, so that way they can make it a hybrid. Which a hybrid would be pretty interesting, and because it's different than making an electric car, because this hybrid tech, like things in like the P1, which is tied for my favorite car, the Senna being tied with it. Using that to work with like turbo lag and all, where the engine just doesn't have that much torque, and working that in. And I think that could make it an incredible track car. I know that does make it heavier, but if you put it in that spine of the car, you could centralize the weight down lower, and it could even handle better. It really depends, though. But I'd really like to. I think it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad, but I am excited to see what's going to happen with that. But one thing I'm afraid of, because I mean you're seeing engines get downsized so much anymore. One of my favorite engines is the LS7, which is a 427 cubic inch 7-liter V8, which they had in the C6 Z06, and in the fifth gen Camaro Z28. It was just a beast of an engine, and I just wish they would put it in a Corvette again. It makes me really mad that I don't to think about that. They're probably not going to do it anymore, or even in the Camaro, which would be even better. In the Camaro, one thing that irritates me is the GT500 makes like 700 horsepower Mustang, and Chevy should be putting the LT5 from the ZR1 Corvette, should be putting that into the Camaro, because that way you're making 755 horsepower and I think it's 715 pounds-foot of torque. You should be kicking the butt of the Mustang on the track in the quarter mile then. And you know what? You're probably getting pretty dang close when you're talking about going up against a Demon. Demon as in the way it is supposed to be for street legal. Not for the track where you put the little skinny tires on and you do all the stupid crap. Where you have to put a different ECU and you have to run it on different gas and all. But like, just run it the way it is on the street all the time. I just don't get why. I mean, this is common sense. It's not like I wouldn't think it's that hard. Like, I'm not an engineer. I love engineering. I enjoy it so much, but it makes me mad to think about that they don't do things like that. I think that's going to be it for today. But thank you for watching, Ashley. I'm not even sure. Why would we rename the Corvette? We're not renaming the Corvette. Yeah, and they shouldn't have put a Mustang on the front. That's bad. That's a problem. Thank you for anyone that watched, but this will be going up on YouTube. So next few, hoping the next few days we'll be able to start doing an episode with Eric, and then once I get headphones, new headphones, because these are just my dad's Bose ones, we can start doing a podcast with 2 other people. Probably gonna have a couple of different friends on. But thanks for watching.